The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming.
A modern podcast where Chris and Mike talk about TV, movies, superheroes, and everything in between. It's time for Superhero Slate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name's Mike Royer.
And this is the Ultimate Edition spoilercast for Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition.
Ooh, mouthful.
Mouthful. That's a long title to say.
Yeah,
so.
I kind of do some abbreviations for our marketing images for this episode, so you can't cram that in a lot of tiles.
A lot of my text messages have been BVS. I don't say Dawn of Justice a whole lot. It's just BVS. And then UE for Ultimate Edition, so I totally agree with you. However, many people will know this is not our first spoiler cast for Batman v Superman. This is the second one. This is our Ultimate Edition of the spoiler cast, so to speak. So there are spoilers in this, so don't be surprised if you haven't watched the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the regular edition. It doesn't matter which one you watch, really.
So this is going to be... we kind of decided to do this spoiler cast because this is kind of a unique thing to happen where a movie kind of gets a release where a lot of things are different. There's an extended cut of a superhero movie, which is we haven't really had yet. And it had a totally different rating. This one's rated R, so that's a totally different viewing experience, or as we were told it was going to be. And also, this will be kind of a unique opportunity where this is the first time that people kind of get our second opinions on the movie fully. I'm not a big movie rewatcher. You know, I usually pour my time into usually watching like TV or watching something new I haven't seen before, so I don't rewatch movies a lot. So this gave me an opportunity to rewatch the movie that I probably wouldn't have. I guess to sum up, to preface, we both did not like Batman vs Superman, so this is going to be kind of an interesting look back, I guess.
Yeah, and so our goal here, again, like you said, is we're not here to be mean and spiteful about it. We've already done that.
Yeah.
You know how we feel if you listen to our first spoiler cast, but that's not the goal of this one. I think, again, you said this is the second time you've watched this, right? This is the second time for me as well. But I don't think, I mean, watching it at home, I was much more calm and collected than I was in the theater about it. I don't know. I just didn't have that horrible reaction I had when I left the theater, or I was in the theater the first time. And I don't know about you, but I mean, it was much easier to take this movie in knowing that, you know, there was more stuff being added to it. But again, at the same point, I want to make this note. This is a very interesting naming title. It's the Ultimate Edition. It's an extended cut. It's a director's cut. Which one is it? Well, apparently it's all of the above. So this is apparently the director's edition or original vision before they had to get clever in editing to get it to a PG-13 rating and down to a reasonable time slot. And you know,
go ahead.
No, well, see, and this is something like, a lot of people complain about Age of Ultron having similar cutting issues on this movie, but Marvel will not release a director's cut. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it messes with the continuity of the films. Which
That's
one do you
true.
watch? They have a very cohesive continuity. So what does this one do for our continuity here? I don't know yet, but we'll figure that out as we go.
Yeah, I mean, so I think basically, I think the majority of our conversation here is going to be talking about the extended scenes. So, but before we get into that, I wanted to touch on the whole rated R-ness of this movie. And I think the biggest problem I have with this Ultimate Cut is the rated R rating is just totally for marketing purposes. This cut does not feel like it needs to be rated R whatsoever. I feel like they actually just went in and either put back the blood squibs or the blood splatters, or they added them in after the fact just to reach that rated R rating. This does not need to be rated R, and if it truly is, it's the softest rated R I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, this is not this is a very gray area for R. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, again, I don't think they added it in to make this R because it was rated R originally when they submitted it, and they had to cut it down and remove stuff. So I don't think, I mean, whatever they did to get a rated, quote unquote, rated R release, I'm not even going to consider that. This is not a rated R film to me. This is an Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the way I have to look at it, because it didn't feel like an R. There was like one F word, and you get one of those in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there was a little bit of blood. Batman's a little more violent in this one in some of the scenes, especially his scene there at the in the I guess the warehouse. Mm-hmm. Whenever he's saving Superman's mom, he's a little more violent there. He gets a couple more hits on Superman's chin during the big fight for violence. There's an extra second or two in the tub scene at the beginning. Wink, wink. Hint, hint. But nothing overly sexual or rated like violent.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, they really pushed that rated R, I think, just to sell copies. So it's unfortunate. We kind of had this theory that, maybe there was something with Jason Todd and the Joker left on the cutting room floor, and that's where we were going to get a rated R rating. After watching this and analyzing the extended scenes, the extra scenes, that was well over wishing we never would have gotten anything like that. This as we kind of go into now talking about the extra scenes, this very much just kind of felt like deleted scenes that you would see on a DVD extra, I think the only reason maybe they turned this into an ultimate cut is some of those extra scenes I think do add a little context to the movie, and I think they make it slightly better.
I agree. There's two huge subplots here that make a lot more sense now, that help the film flow a lot better than the original did. Mm-hmm. The first is the KG Beast. The character, he's like the mercenary who essentially, I call him Tall Hydra Guy because he was in Winter Soldier in the elevator. Uh-huh. I can't think of his name. I think it's Callan Mulvey. His scenes make a lot more sense. He's in a lot more now. He's essentially Lex Luthor's like right-hand man doing all the dirty work. Mm-hmm. He sets up the Middle Eastern thing to look like Superman burned everybody and killed everybody. Mm-hmm. He also was a big part of this lady. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Kahini Ziri. She's the black lady who is at the hearings.
The villager, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, her parents were at the village.
Yeah.
And they died. You find out that she was paid off by Lex Luthor, and she plays throughout the scene, and she's trying to avoid getting killed by this KG Beast guy.
She was pushed in front of a train. I think that was an additional scene too.
Yeah. Most of her scenes are actually added in. Mm-hmm. She actually ratted on Lex Luthor to Senator Finch moments before she drank some of Granny's peach tea. So, yeah, there we go. But I mean, that whole plot scene of her and like Clark Kent going to Gotham and being in like her complex looking for her was cut completely from the original movie. So seeing Clark Kent in Gotham makes a lot more sense. Learning about the Batman from the streets rather than a TV clip, whole different story.
Yeah, so it kind of rounds out things a little bit more. It doesn't necessarily fix problems with the movie on a technical point of view. We've had problem with like editing and stuff like that, and just overall the script and the storytelling. But it does add a little bit more, and I don't know if necessarily my opinion would have changed if I saw this original cut in the theater. But it's nice knowing that at least like, they're not totally oblivious. They did think about these things, but they had to cut them for, I guess, time's sake.
I'd say, yeah, time purposes, maybe some rating things. Some things that didn't need cut was, again, Jenna Malone's character. Everyone thought she was Barbara Gordon or like, a young Robin from the Dark Knight saga. She's not. She's a lab tech called Janet Clyburn, who actually kind of fills in the points on like why Superman couldn't see the bomb in the wheelchair because it was made out of lead. Well, okay, that makes sense now that you've told us, not the first time I watched it. So but there's a lot of stuff there.
I almost see why they didn't even need to put that in there though, because Superman said like, I missed it, I should have seen it. But he was basically distracted about all the circus going around, and I believe that. I thought that made sense. That like, Superman probably didn't see the bomb in the wheelchair, just because he was too busy dealing with all of this hoopla and all this political mumbo jumbo going on. So I think that was a smart cut. That made sense to me.
Well, but she also that was her second appearance. Her first appearance talked about the bullets being alien materials that all those people in the material in the the village were killed with. And those were kind of point out like if that's alien technology found on like these bodies, could it be Superman kind of thing? I don't know. She could go either way, but she wasn't Barbara Gordon or Oracle or whoever else, Batgirl.
Yeah.
So we definitely don't need to believe all the rumors we hear. Do you see the Jon Stewart cameo?
Yeah, and that was really awkward because if anybody is familiar with the Jon Stewart show, when he was on it, he had a live audience. So
there's no laugh track. It was freaking me out.
It was really weird because there are parts in the Daily Show when he would just address something very seriously, and the audience wouldn't react. But he was kind of trying to make like some jokes. I was just like, who forgot to add the laugh track into this show that has a live audience? So that was a really bizarre thing to see in the movie.
It was. So that was there. I mean, I think again that goes back to my original reactions. It things that were broken in the movie probably weren't fixed, but it does help the whole overarching story flow better.
Know what we did get though? We got We got some bat butt.
Oh yes, the shower scenes.
Yeah, we got a little of Ben Affleck's rear end.
That's right, in the shower. I don't think I was paying too much attention during that because I think he's got the clear, like, very glass cabin or building or like house by the lake, and I'm like, I couldn't live in a glass house.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an additional scene, I don't believe. I think it was just additional shot from that scene. Yeah. They're just like, we got to take Ben's butt out of this movie because kids are seeing this movie. We're not going to subject them to man butt. So I think that was a smart cut. I don't know too many people that really wanted to see Batman's butt, but hey, you got it in this ultimate cut, the bat butt.
Yeah, the bat butt edition is what we should really call this. That's what people are getting it for. They're freeze framing that scene the whole time through. A couple things I was talking with a couple people while I was watching this, and superfan Jim Mintier was actually watching it at the exact same time. I think he was like 5 minutes ahead of me when we were watching this yesterday. I find it a little weird still that all, like, Superman and Batman both have really, really weird hallucinations with specific stories to them. I think this movie could have taken some out rather than just add more back in. The nightmare scene still doesn't feel right. I apologize for that. I don't think the nightmare scene feels right.
It doesn't really make sense in the point of the movie, just because I feel like in the future of the DC cinematic universe, it's gonna be explained why Batman's seeing this stuff. It's gonna be maybe some sort of like Flashpoint thing or some sort of like mind control thing.
The thing is that it's called a time boom because of the Flash coming back right after. I don't know. It didn't make any sense when I tried to read it, but. Yes, continue.
Yeah, but we just didn't need it. So speaking of ultimate cut, like you said earlier, it would have been kind of cool to see maybe this movie remove scenes and also add scenes to kind of like weave in like some sort of better continuity. But that gets into that weird ground of just like, oh, which one do you watch? Which one is the real movie? But I think the biggest disappointment I had from this was, like I said, we didn't really get a big addition to it. But one thing that we thought that we were going to get was we thought we were going to get a whole scene where Batman steals the kryptonite.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're the second person bringing like I was so sad that we didn't get out to see Batman break into LexCorp Industries and take the kryptonite. We saw him like drop down on a video camera footage.
Yeah.
And snatch the security guard.
And that just wasn't just like fan wishes. We had like reports coming in that we were going to get more from that, and we were going to see Batman and how he actually stole the stuff. And then the scene comes up and I'm just like, that's all we get? That's all we get? I thought we were going to be getting some awesome stuff here. So I feel like the ultimate cut could have been just so much better if there was just some real meat added to it, but it's just more kind of stuff peppered here and there. I would say the most significant thing added was probably the flamethrower and the burning of the bodies at the beginning of the movie. But yeah, beyond that, it just does kind of seem like bonus extra stuff.
It's very front loaded on the special or the cut scenes. It's all first half of the movie where everything was pretty much all the big things were added to me. Because you get no extra fight scenes when they're fighting each other, Batman v Superman, because they spent all their money on it. Of course, they're going to put that in there. Just a couple things here. Like, I don't even think there's any extra Doomsday fight scenes, according to this. I have a list of stuff from Screen Rant that I'm going to include in our show notes. So if anyone wants to see specifics, please feel free to go through it. But all in all, yes, I think it's better than theatrical version. Will they still sell a theatrical version on shelves, Mike? What do you think?
I don't think they'll need to, because I think they'll just give you the option. I bought this digitally on iTunes, and I had the option of watching the theatrical cut or the extended cut. So
Okay.
I think they're just going to do that moving forward.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just wasn't sure. I mean, I don't know. We get to see Alfred chop some wood. That was a scene. Again, very comparable to Age of Ultron when Captain America and Iron Man are chopping wood. So Alfred's cool. Someone referred to him as Jeremy Iron Man because Jeremy Irons is his name, and he's kind of like the Iron Man for Batman.
Yeah, he looks a little bit like it. But so, we've kind of talked about these extended scenes, and I think maybe we should take an opportunity before we wrap things up of what was it like rewatching the movie, seeing it for a second time. We didn't like it the first time around, so usually we probably wouldn't get a second viewing, but we got a chance to sit down with it again. Did anything just like really stick out to you that, just definitely made sense this time around, or just things? Did anything get worse? Did anything get better? Overall, what did you think of it the second time around with this extended cut?
So it took a lot of energy to really get hyped for this, to watch it the second time, because I was really down on it the first time. And coming from a dry wedding, I was like, I need something to drink for this to really get me going. But I think once I got into it, the first half of the movie, much better experience. A lot of the stuff made more sense, especially with the how Superman was blamed for this whole thing in it's not Syria, is it? But the village in Africa, that stuff it made a lot more sense leading up to the point where they got there. However, once the second half of the movie hits, my head cocked sideways. I'm like, this doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, because it's basically the same movie for the second half.
Yeah, so the nightmare sequence and the Flash running back doesn't need to happen. We do not need to see the metahuman folder Wonder Woman clicked on. That, I was really, I'm like, okay, this is great pacing here at the end, but, they take a break to watch her click those videos. I'm like, this is a post-credit scene that needs to be at the end of the movie, not right here in the middle to take us out of it. That's a fan service scene. Get it out of here. The fight with Doomsday was okay. I think everything went much faster this time. I feel maybe because I knew what was coming rather than the first time where it kind of felt like it dragged out. And again, I still like some of the same things. Wonder Woman's great. I like to see Wonder Woman. She's a great fighter. Seeing some of her stuff was cool. Seeing them team up against Doomsday was pretty cool. And I feel I would raise it 1 point up on a scale of 10.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I think overall the second time around, the initial shock is kind of worn off, so you kind of know what's coming. You can kind of look at it a little bit more objectively. The first part of the movie definitely flows a lot better. But the second half of the movie is kind of where things get weird, because you have a lot of really awesome action scenes in the end. I love, like you said, I love watching Wonder Woman fight Doomsday. That is just an exceptional part of the movie. But the biggest flaw is still not fixed in this movie. And I think almost the ultimate cut maybe makes it worse, because we get a lot more explanation of why people are wary of Superman and why they don't like Superman. The whole first half of this movie is like, oh, why is society scared of Superman? Why he should be regulated? We get lots of demonstrations against Superman. So the whole time in the movie, you start to get the idea of no one likes this guy. No one likes this guy who's trying to save the planet. And then at the end of the movie, when he dies, killing something that's basically from his home planet, it's not like he saved like some sort of new version of Hitler that was homegrown on Earth and was always there, and he just happened to save the Earthlings from them. He saved them again from something that he brought. And now all of a sudden they love him again. That's one thing that was not fixed in this round again. It's just hard to watch everybody pour their hearts out for a dead Superman when the whole movie everybody just hated him. So that was just never earned in this movie at all. And I just wish somehow it could have been earned, but I don't know. And because they make the whole point in this movie saying all the places that they're fighting are abandoned. So when there's no lives at stake, who did Superman really save? You know, we have this beast running around and destroying an empty, abandoned city. So he doesn't have a chance to really save anybody. Like, yeah, he kills Doomsday, but where's the big selling point of, hey, look, everybody, I just saved the planet Earth? It's just like Doomsday, like, kind of like exploded like 2 military helicopters. So I didn't really feel the stakes there. It's kind of weird. It's weird what I'm saying. It's just like, hey, Mike, I don't get it. In Man of Steel, you were mad because all those people died and the city exploded. Well, that's true, but I was more mad that Superman didn't save anybody. He could have saved those people. He could have diverted them away from the buildings. So, that's still the biggest problem I have with the movie, is that Superman's death was never earned. But this movie, this extended cut does tweak some things, but I think, as you said, the scale ticking up 1, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, again, that made me think of some parts where, like, the military knows Doomsday is getting stronger when they shoot him. Like, they shoot a missile at him, and it cuts back, like, he's getting stronger with everything we do at him. I'm like, how do they know this? Like, that's very, very quickly assessed here. Yeah, and they very quickly jump to the assumption, and they literally say the line as, he's unkillable, which is a very strange, just very poorly written line for someone to deliver. He's unkillable. It's like, oh, okay, I'm glad you know everything about this creature already. But I think now we're just kind of treading back into the territories of our first spoiler cast for the movie. So we'll try to take a step back now and say, yes, I'll try to say I'm glad that they tried to do something unique here and creative. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that is a big prop that I can give to the DC universe, above Marvel, where Marvel now has kind of found this formula and they are sticking to it, and I'm glad that it's working out for them well. They try to diversify by doing different styles of movie, heist movie here, political thriller movie here. It's working out well for Marvel, but I like how DC is taking these kind of brave chances. It hasn't panned out for them yet, but I'm hoping it will. They're doing an all-villain movie first. That's with Suicide Squad. That's going to be awesome. They're doing this awesome thing where they're shifting the timeline of the DC cinematic universe forward. So we have a lot of past that have happened that we can go back on. Hopefully a Red Hood movie with Batman. I think that would be great. And, they're doing things like, hell yeah, we'll put out a rated R version of this movie. Marvel's never going to do that. Marvel's never going to put out a rated R movie of their cinematic universe. I mean, Deadpool's over at Fox, so that's different. That's a totally different story. Marvel Studios isn't going to tread on that, and they didn't put out an extended version of Ultron, and I think me and you would have loved that. We would have loved some more context, and we're big Joss Whedon fanboys. We would have loved to see more from him, so I can definitely give props to Warner Brothers and DC for the stuff that they're doing. I just really hope it starts panning out for them soon. Yeah, I agree. And with the reports of Justice League we had last week on last week's show, the Superhero Slate, I think, again, Batman v Superman was a reaction to Man of Steel's critics. Justice League is a reaction to Batman v Superman's critics. So Justice League, I think, is moving in the right direction. I think we're gonna get things that are better every time. It's gonna be a slow build. I understand that, but I definitely see how, like you said, this version is an answer to what people were saying were bad. And okay, that's cool. So they're listening. Then we're getting better and we're getting better. So I'm really looking forward to probably Wonder Woman more than Suicide Squad, to be honest with you, since it's the 2 movies away. Because after watching this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, Wonder Woman, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she is badass.
So I'm really excited for that, and we'll have a spoiler cast on Suicide Squad and see maybe if that changes our mind. Maybe that fills in some blanks that we don't know on this universe, with Batman being a big part of that as well. So I don't know. I'm excited. Again, this movie is, I think, the Ultimate Edition. If you were to choose one to watch at this current point in time, do watch the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know we got some people out there that really love Batman vs Superman, so I would personally love to hear from somebody that really dug this Ultimate Edition, thought it really added to a movie they already loved, because I want to know what it's like to being on that other side of the fence. I'd love to be over there someday. So you can always drop us a line at superheroslate.com.
Yes, and where and people want to know what else you're doing, Mike. What other movies you may be watching, whether they be R-rated or not. Where can they do that at?
Well, they can always follow me at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Actually, I have a comic that I made a couple of months back when the movie came out about the Lois and Superman bathtub scene. So
and that got an extended scene in this one.
Yeah, that did. So maybe that's a little bit more poignant now. But Chris, if people want to know if you get around to watching this for maybe a third time, maybe you just like doing it to yourself. Where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Valdan, Valdan.
You can find him on Twitter doing it to himself.
Yeah. Oh man, I was hoping you were just gonna leave that one alone.
Nope.
but this is it'll be a very rough moment to add this movie to my DVD shelf. But other than that, you can go to comicui.com and read my review of this that we wrote back when the movie came out. I won't be doing one on the Ultimate Edition. This is it. This is our coverage, and so on and so forth. But in the meantime, if people want to go back and find the original spoiler cast for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, where can they do that, Mike?
Well, they can find all of the stuff for our show at superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all the links that we post our show up. We're on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Tumblr. You can subscribe to us via your email address. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. If you're a fan of the show, please consider heading on over to iTunes, leaving us a review. It's super helpful, and we really love it. And if you're a super fan of the show, just share the show with a friend. Maybe you got a buddy out there that loved the movie and you didn't like the movie. You give them this podcast and it gives them your side of the story if you can't so eloquently say it. But yeah, that's the show. We're wrapping this up. I think the next spoiler cast is going to be Ghostbusters.
Yes, the Ghostbusters. God, that Ecto Cooler again. I've got 2.5 cases sitting at my feet right now. You were able to find some.
Yeah, I picked it up on Walmart.com. I just happened to go on the Ecto Cooler website the day it was added, so I don't know if it's still up there. I know Walmart's got bigger warehouses, got more resources, so maybe it's going to be fully stocked there for a long time.
You use the website ecto.cool?
Yeah, I love that domain name.
Yeah, so ecto.cool to find where your Ecto Cooler is closest to you. And have you received it yet? That's my next question.
Yes, it's in the kitchen.
Have you had any of it?
No. We're saving it for the spoiler cast. The spoiler cast is going to be a Ghostbusters Ecto Cooler spoiler cast. It'll be interesting because we're not big Ghostbusters fanboys. I think we're more excited about the Ecto Cooler. So
it's true.
Stay tuned for that. We're gonna give it its due.
So, lastly, before we get off this,
yeah,
we're gonna make a drinking game out of the Ghostbusters spoiler cast.
Okay,
but we're gonna be drinking Ecto Cooler instead of other beverages.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
If anyone can think of any rules for that, let us know.
Okay. Probably whenever I say wholeheartedly, we're gonna take a drink of Ecto Cooler.
Wholeheartedly. I am not offended by that.
Well, all right, everybody, go enjoy your 4th of July weekend if you haven't already.
Yes, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.